What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video here on Pig City Hockey. If you haven't already done so, drop a subscription, a like, turn on notifications if you haven't already, because we're going to be getting into a doozy today. Not only is it a trade video talking about a proposed trade and what you guys are talking about more than me, because I didn't even really think about this. This has just been you guys on Twitter, everywhere in the Jets community. For the last 15 years, I've been talking about Jonathan Toews, so I feel like it's about time that I talk about him, because he's finally a trade deadline target for a lot of teams out there, and potentially could be for the Winnipeg Jets as well. Let's talk a little bit about whether or not it would work, because there's a lot about Jonathan Toews, that you find out. Hindsight's 2020, the last couple of years. A lot of stuff's come out about Jonathan Toews, about, what type of room he leads, especially going into the past. You will get to all that later, but, Jonathan Toews is Jonathan Toews. Growing up, he was the Winnipeg hockey player, At least that's how it felt for me. Everyone talked about Jonathan Toews. I remember seeing Jonathan Toews play in a charity game in Winnipeg in, 2008 at the MTS Center. Guys like Jordan Toews and a bunch of other random NHLers were just in this charity game in the summertime in Winnipeg, way before the Jets even existed. First game I ever saw at the MTS before I even saw a Moose game was that charity game, and Jonathan Toews played in it. Met Jonathan Toews in St. Vital after they won the Cup, and he went to the community center, and he had the whole day named after him, and the community center got its name changed, the Jonathan Toews Recreational Center, whatever it's called now, I don't know. He signed a puck. I've met him. I touched the Stanley Cup and Conn Smythe. Me and this man have history. This city has history with Jonathan Toews. And everyone's always talked about the opportunity of bringing him home and putting him in a Jets sweater. And the time has finally come where that might be a possibility. I don't know that Cheveldayoff has him as his number one target on his board. If he even has a board at this point, Chevy will get those phones rolling. But, it definitely has to be on that list. He has to be. He's Jonathan Toews, and you look at the Winnipeg Jets track record with players they acquire and what True North loves and all that stuff. Jonathan Toews would be the absolute number one acquisition just to bring him in for jersey sales alone. But Jonathan Toews is Jonathan Toews. He always will be. The three-time Cup champion. He's won the Selke. He's won the Conn Smythe. He's won the Mark Messier Leadership Award. I think he's got, gold in the World Juniors, gold for Team Canada. The man succeeded on every single level of hockey that you possibly can aspire to do. He has done it. He is without a doubt a Hall of Famer, top 100 player when they did the 100 season. He definitely was named to that. Look at his stats. I don't need to say anything more about Jonathan Toews. Even this year, at 34 years old, 32 games played, 20 points, 11 goals. The guy is still putting up decent numbers. You look at last year, down year for sure, but that entire Chicago team was terrible. The year prior to that, 60 points, 81 points. Jonathan Toews is Jonathan Toews. He's Mr. Consistent. He's one of the most consistent players in the NHL for the last 15 years. Look at the point totals. You'll see what I'm talking about. The man is just consistent. Elite, He's just Jonathan Toews. That's the only way to describe him, really, And the advanced stats this year, they're not amazing. Don't get me wrong, but 34 years old, this is what Blake Wheeler's advanced stats look like, and at times have looked worse. So he's expiring, you never know. We're not going to go too much to his advanced stats. As I said already, contract he's on right now. That's the deal he signed back in 2015, 2022, 2023. Right now it is ending $10.5 million. So if the Jets want to acquire him, or any team wants to really acquire him, Chicago will be retaining cap in a trade without a doubt. No team, unless the Arizona Coyotes feel like they're going to make the playoffs for some reason, shout out to AZ Sports Guy, are going to acquire him without a retained salary. And because, look at the Jets right now. Look at the projected cap space. So they're definitely going to need to move some pieces around if they wanted to bring him in. But they're going to have to do that with anybody right now. The Jets are just going to have to address this whole situation that they're in right now and figure things out. But at the time being, Jonathan Toews is Jonathan Toews. He's available for trade. What do you do? Well, there's lots of teams interested in him. The Central is booming. I've seen Colorado, St. Louis, tons of Central teams want to acquire Jonathan Toews. Obviously, the Jets are sitting on the quiet side right now because when they make trades within their own division, they're quiet about it. Let me remind you about the Paul Stastny acquisition way back when in the 2017 trade deadline. No one saw that coming. No one at all saw a Paul Stastny trade coming like that, especially to Winnipeg, and it turned out to be one of the sneakiest, best deals of the day. Happened extremely early on and quickly, because that's just the type of GM Chevy is. If Chevy wants to make a deal with someone in the Central, he's going to do it quietly. He's not going to let other teams know about it and poke around and start to get involved in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chevy was moving things around right now. Now let's get into the bread and butter of this, okay? Do I want Jonathan Toews on the Winnipeg Jets right now? 3 years ago, I would have screamed. 4 years ago, I would have, oh my God, yes. I would have pushed an old lady into traffic to get Jonathan Toews on this team. I definitely wouldn't have actually done that, but it's just an expression. But 2022, about to go into 2023. Hindsight is obviously 2020, and While we're injured as hell, Jonathan Toews would be an absolutely great acquisition. When I look at this team right now, I look at the locker room problems they've had. I look at the Paul Maurice issues, the leadership problems in the room. We all know it exists because you don't remove a C from a captain and then become amazing all of a sudden if there hasn't been problems in the room. Blake Wheeler's a prime example of that, not only with his on-ice performance, but just his overall attitude in general has completely changed him and uplifted. So definitely something was going on in that room. Do you want to bring in a captain now that allowed all that stuff to go down with Kyle Beach? It's as simple as that. And if you're going to just bring, oh, I don't want to talk about that, it's factual now, you know? You want to read? You want me to pull up the 180-page court document or whatever it was that I read a year and a half ago now? No, I don't need to do that. You shouldn't forget stuff like this. There's a reason why Joel Quenneville ain't in the NHL right now. I had to make this video and talk about it because I had to share my opinion on it and be honest, honestly. This is what it comes down to, is just honesty. Jets fans are freaking out about the opportunity to get Jonathan Toews. Everyone's talking about him. I do not want him on this club. At all. Like I said, 3-4 years ago, where I was back then, and even just Jonathan Toews in general, absolutely. Now, he's not what this team needs, and he's not worth the risk. As simple as that. As simple as that. Now, if Jonathan Toews wants to sign with the Winnipeg Jets in the offseason because he doesn't care anymore and just wants to play in Manitoba and he's going to sign for $2 million, then holy shit, bring back Jonathan Toews, because if it doesn't work, just trade him. But as bringing him in right now, trading assets for him, taking in all that risk and everything, with everything we know about his past too, you know, we can think of whatever you want about it. That stuff doesn't sit right with me, so it bothers me. Opinions are opinions, right? That being said, I just don't see it. I don't see a world where this trade makes sense for the Winnipeg Jets. And I had to make this video because everybody and their mother is talking about Jonathan Toews coming back to Winnipeg. And they have been forever, but this year especially. And I don't see it. Now, that's just my opinion. I'm one fan. I've seen other fans that agree with me, but you know, I had to get this opinion out there. I don't think Jonathan Toews is what this team needs. I don't think he's worth the risk. I don't think he's going to be worth the price tag. I think there are much better players available in Vancouver. Example, Connor Garland, Brock Besser, and Bo Horvat. All three of those guys would be better, smarter investments for this team's future than anyone on the Chicago Blackhawks right now. I just don't see Jonathan Toews as being worth a trade risk rate, like as the benefits of trading for him right now. He's nothing but a risk. You bring him in, he could either suck, he could have effect on the room because he's a captain going to a new team with a completely new mojo that might not fit his style. The guy has never, ever, ever left Chicago, so who knows how he feels. I just don't know if it would work. I just don't see Jonathan Toews anymore as this perfect fit for the Winnipeg Jets. I know the history is here, and yeah, it would be nice if they had Winnipeg on that, you know, stat sheet. Don't get me wrong. It would, just because he's from Winnipeg, and it just adds to the aura and the story of Jonathan Toews. I get that, but the time has passed on that window, in my opinion, and I don't think right now is the right time for it. If you want Jonathan Toews in the offseason because he wants to come here for dirt cheap on a one-year deal, experiment a little bit. Why not? That's at least more swallowable for me than it is to trade assets in a year that you already don't have a second and a fourth and a sixth in a really good draft for a guy that might not work and might not even stay here who's 34 years old. I know the Paul Stastny deal worked great, but that was before we had Pierre-Luc Dubois and Mark Scheifele centering our top six when healthy, right? Things have changed. I don't think it's a great fit anymore. That's just my opinion. So why don't you let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Do you want Jonathan Toews on the Winnipeg Jets? Let me know right now down in the comment section below. Love to hear you guys, read your guys' thoughts as always. But yeah, going to wrap it up right here. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you did, really appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Check out all the other affiliate links down in the description below. Peace, love, and positivity. As always, have a great rest of your day. Go Jets, go! And I will see you guys in the next one.